with no weak half-ass effort, you know. I come with a nice spicy intro, nice spicy. Greetings, salutations, and good now. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Kevis Major, doing it major. This is going to be a major weekly forecast. We have some major aspects and placements and alignments that are going to be happening, and so make sure that you're subscribed and locked into the channel. I hope you guys could appreciate the consistency that we've been delivering, you know, really trying to go with the energies and be mutable, flexible, and adaptable, and be versatile, so I could, you know, do what we do here, you know, doing it major using the insights of astrology. And so we've been working hard, switching it up, trying to, you know, get the forecast done. As you could see, a different location, a different backdrop, and so, you know, putting in the effort to get it done. Now this week, the title that I have is New Moon Magic, because we have a lot of, again, a lot of powerful placements, alignments, and aspects that are leading up to a beautiful new moon in Gemini. And it's funny, the sign says the first shall be last and the last shall be first. So the last thing that I was writing down was the full moon in Gemini. And that's the first thing we got to talk about, just to bring context. Okay? Just to bring context. We're going to be having, did I say full moon? I hope I didn't say full moon. A new moon in Gemini. New moon, new mood, new emotions, new feelings, new ways of reacting and responding to people, places, things, circumstances, and situations. And it's in Gemini. So off the bat, we know that we are creating, you know, new intentions of how we could be a bit more versatile and adaptable to the world that we are living in and the situations that we are facing. And so this forecast is going to be quite powerful, because as we go into the new moon, we got to start planting new seeds and setting new intentions. And so all of the days, all of the hours and minutes leading up to the new moon, we need to be seeding these new seeds. Okay, so we're going to talk about, you know, what's happening day to day, but keeping in mind, you know, we're planting new seeds in Gemini. So let's just talk about the new moon in Gemini briefly, and then do the weekly forecast. So again, off the bat, this new moon is being initiated in a mutable sign, so it's time for upgrades. You know, the mutable signs are flexible, adaptable, versatile to the challenges and the ups and downs of life. And so we could learn from the Gemini season to see how we could adapt different ideas and different perspectives and different ways of looking at things and solving problems, different ways of communicating and overcoming obstacles through experiences and knowledge, and, you know, the accumulation of knowledge and applying it, which is wisdom. And so a new moon is giving us the ability to have that intention, right, of going into the world just being more flexible and adaptable. So all of the seeds that we are planting, you know, we should have that at the back of my mind. Okay, how could I be more adaptable? How could I be more flexible? How could I take all of the experiences that I've had in my life and apply it, aka wisdom, so I could be able to navigate more sustainably for myself and for others, and also to have, you know, new sense of comfort without relying on old and outdated ways of stability and old and outdated ways of doing things and receiving inner peace. So this one is quite potent and powerful. So let's start. We got Monday the 8th, Sun in Gemini and Moon in Pisces, so no major aspects. I'm just going to run them down, then dive into them. And hopefully we don't make this video too long-winded. I only have about, you know, 16 more minutes, so bear with me. All right. On the 9th, Venus is going to conjunct Jupiter in Cancer. On the 10th, Sun opposed Lilith. Mercury also squares Saturn. On the 11th and 12th, nothing major. However, there's a nice Taurus Moon. On the 13th, Venus enters Leo, right? Shifting out of Cancer into Leo, and it's going to be squaring Chiron because of the degrees. Powerful aspect. On the 14th, nothing major. The 15th, we have the new moon in Gemini, and this is going to be next week, Monday. But I included it in the forecast because it's very important. And again, everything we're doing is leading up to this new moon, and we don't want to miss it. We don't want to miss, you know, being able to be on the right side of energies going into the new moon, planting those good seeds. So when we have the full moon In Capricorn, we could be seen and received, how we want to be seen and received in the world. We could have some status, some authority. We'll be seen as a person who has been taking care of our duties and responsibilities based on the wisdom, the application of the knowledge that we've been accumulating during this Gemini season. Hopefully you're on the right side of the energies. All right, so let's start off with Monday, a strong start to the week, as Gemini is going to be in its peak. Gemini is about 18 degrees on that day, and so we know that between 15, 16, 17, even 19 degrees, that's the peak of any sign, the most fixated portion. And so we are seeing Gemini in its full power. Gemini at its most intense, where thoughts and ideas come alive in physical form through events, circumstances, and situations. There's going to be a Pisces moon as well, and Pisces moon shows us where changes are needed in order to create emotional stability. Pisces is a very magnificent sign ruled by Neptune, so it's mystic, it's intuitive, it's about feeling, it's about vibe, imagination, it's about creativity. And Monday moon being in Pisces is critical, for the beginning of the week. And so Cancers initiate new ways of emotional stability. Scorpios are fixated in, their emotional stability, and so they need to ward off distractions and things that get them off their path. However, Pisces has this special ability, because it seems that Pisces moons especially are or pre-wired, right, with a multitude of people, places, things, circumstances, and situations that afford them the ability or afford them emotional stability. And so a Pisces moon could miss the details, miss the little intricacies, and take all of that for granted, right? And so the goal with this Pisces moon, or the challenge, is to get creative with the people, places, things, circumstances, and situations that you have in your life that are fixated, that won't change, or that are not quite changeable at the moment, and be creative with it. Again, Gemini is asking us to be adaptable and flexible and versatile, and so is this Pisces moon. And so again, showing us where we could make changes, how we could be more creative, imaginatory, have a bit more vibe and feeling for all of the things and people around us, and just appreciate them more, and gain emotional stability based on what we already have, and not trying to go out and create something new, or be too fixated on one aspect or one of the plethora of things that is before us right now. The cow is saying amen. All right, and the next cow is saying amen again. Can we get a third? All right, we got a third in the back. So let's move on to a fourth. This is becoming a round of applause now. Let's move on to the ninth, where we have some very interesting, and I don't want to say electrifying, but quite magnetic or magnetizing energies. We have Venus conjuncting Jupiter in Cancer. Now, Jupiter is the magnifying glass. It's the magnification of issues, problems, deficiencies pertaining in the heart space, which are the people, places, things, circumstances, and situations that make me, you, or any individual or group feel safe, feel nurtured, protected, comfortable, with the ability to grow, right? With the ability to grow is the important part, because you could feel safe, you could feel protected, you could feel comfortable, but if you don't have the ability to grow, you're suffocated, you're stifled, and ultimately it becomes uncomfortable. And so Venus appreciates beauty, right? Appreciates the finer things. Venus is this planet of immaculate taste. One could say that Venus, is also the planet of luxury and fine things. And so, again, Jupiter being this magnifying glass could magnify the things that are not beautiful, the things that are not of good taste. The small aspects that are not valuable, okay? And so it could be the amplification of the ugly and the distasteful, and you know, things that are not beautiful and are not you know, comfortable, right? And so that's something to look out for if you're on the negative side of the energy. But on the flip side is the amplification of all things beautiful, all things prosperous, all things, you know, surrounding your emotional stability and comfort, even your money, and so forth. So on the ninth, this is a beautiful aspect. Hopefully you are on the right side of the energy. So when Jupiter conjuncts Venus and there's this amplification or there's this expansion, you know, it's more on the positive aspect, you know. Everything is not going to be perfect. Some of the negative are going to be amplified. Some of the positive are going to be amplified. Hopefully you're on the right side of the energies. Okay. On the 10th, we have an interesting aspect. There's the sun opposing Sagittarius, right? So sun in Gemini is seek and search energy, okay? Be mutable, adaptable, having different experiences, being curious, communicating, processing information, you know, trying to seek and find. However, Lilith in Sagittarius, Lilith, the dark moon, you know, Lilith is interesting. I've been doing a bit more research and getting, you know, more acquainted with the Lilith energy, the dark moon, the moon that had to be exiled because it had its own light, you know, and it didn't want to be subjected to the sun or to what the man wanted to do. And so there's a certain level of raw emotion, there's a certain level of raw desire, there's a certain level of rebelliousness when we talk about Lilith. Now, Lilith is more symbolic in the chart, in my opinion, because we can't observe Lilith, and so it's just a symbolic calculation or aspect that astrologers, you know, put into readings, and you know, it could be seen as a time where we just want the knowledge, we just want the experience. Sagittarius is about higher heights and broader horizon, and so it's a time for raw emotions, instincts, desires. We just want what we want, without having to play a certain role to receive it. The sun is how we do things, but Lilith doesn't want to do things how it's supposed to be done, right? You just want to receive it because you deserve it. And so there's an interesting opposition where you think you deserve something, you know what you want based on, you know, Lilith being also moon, feminine, so it's your desires, what you want, but you want something without actually having to go out and play a specific role or path, right? And so it's an interesting aspect just to throw in there if you may be feeling, you know, that push and pull of, okay, you know, Gemini, I gotta be a bit more mutable and adaptable and flexible to the world. But why don't people just understand me, understand my belief, understand my idea, understand my goal and my vision? Why do I have to go play this mutable, adaptable role and see other people's views and opinions? No, see minds and submit to my will. Otherwise, I'm just gonna go out and, you know, achieve my goals another way, right? And so it's an interesting aspect. On the 11th, moving forward, we have Mercury in Cancer squaring off Saturn in Aries, and it looks like it's getting a bit darker, so we gotta go. This aspect, or this is an aspect that is going to force us, right? Pressure us to really think outside of the box and break out of comfort zones and pursue experiences that require longevity. Now, Saturn is discipline, structure, and organization, how you establish boundaries and limitations, so you could improve, right? You set a parameter for you to be able to perform mastery within. So it's not being here, there, and everywhere, but it's having certain confinements that you work within. However, Aries is creating with bold actions, creating with courage. And so this is where you know, you want to create new structures and new ways of organizing. While Mercury being in Cancer, Mercury, is thinking and communicating. Cancer is about your heart space and being comfortable. Wants comfort and familiarity. Okay? So the square is going to bring up tensions and asks us to choose between familiar comforts or newfound stability. I hope you choose the latter. All right, on the 11th and 12th, there's nothing major. However, Taurus Moon. So we're putting in, continue to try to be on the right side of energies. We're still thinking about the new moon in Gemini. And so Taurus Moon, stability, organized, being fixated, some tangible things that you could do, leading up to the new moon. All right, on the 13th, Venus enters Leo, and this placement just rings out summertime. Ha ha. Everybody come on, come on, come on. Get on, thank you for the summer sun. Yeah, girl, I'm a big guitar, in a bikini and in a tie. Oh, oh, here we go. Summertime is here, I don't know if you guys know that Vibes Cartel song, but I don't know. This Venus in Leo placement just gives me that feeling. And I also have mixed feelings about this placement. Just like any other placements, there's the positive influences and there are also negative aspects, right? However, this could be one of the most beautiful placements we've been experiencing for this springtime. I ain't even gonna tell a lie. Venus is the planet of love, right? Of beautification, of fertility, of comfort, and of growth. So much so that it's said that Venus was the first planet that actually had life on it, Um, so it's quite interesting that life possibly could have begun on Venus again from those characteristics. So while Venus is fully active, we get cohesion, we get cooperation, we get teamwork. Teamwork makes the dream work type of energy, big Libra energy, where we strive to find ways to achieve common goals. However, the Leo zodiac sign, or space, or path, ruled by the sun, governed under the laws of the sun, constitute a fixed emotion, a fixed expression of emotion, rather, or energy. And so this placement has the potential, again, to be the most loving, to be the most sensual, to be the most sexual, the most entertaining, the most creative burst of energy. But this is also a placement of grand stage energy. Leo, grand stage energy, where everybody wants to be the star, everybody wants to be the center of attention, everybody wants the headlines, the highlights, aka Venus wants to be seen and received well. And this is where your knowledge of this placement comes in, because knowing where the house, or knowing the house that you have this placement in, will let you know what area of your life that you're going to shine and the area of life that other people are going to shine. Okay? So it's going to show you again where you have access to shine and where you allow other people to shine. Because again, this is a placement where, just think about like a stage show or a play or a performance where there's multiple actors, everyone has their role, but you don't know your role, you don't know the script, you don't know your parts, you're trying to play all of the parts. And so the stage could get muddied, it could get chaotic, it could get all about me, and everyone feels like, okay, someone is stepping on their toes, someone is playing their role, people get disgruntled, and no one wants that, right? And even for you as the person, you just feel chaotic, bummed out, you spoil the show, right? And so it's important for you to know what house you have this placement in, so you can know where you're going to be shining. So for example, let's say you have Venus in Leo in the 6th house, you're going to be shining at your work, the services that you do, your daily ins and outs, the job, your routine, the service that you have to offer to the world. That's where you're going to be shining. So maybe in the workplace, right? Or in your work routines, or in your day-to-day patterns, that's where you shine. If you have it in, let's say, the 9th house, maybe you're going to be shining for your ideology, for your beliefs, for the wisdom that you have, maybe traveling abroad or something. That's the way you're going to be shining and showing out in the world. So it's important to know where you have this placement, because um you don't want to be playing all the roles, right? And you don't want to be muddy in the stage, right? So it's not about you, but it's about how you play your role with this placement. So don't be selfish. Shine when it's your time, but also share the stage. All right, let's move forward, because on that same day, on that very day, right? On that very day, as soon as Venus moves into Leo, is going to square Chiron. And here's where the test or the checks comes in. Chiron, quite like Pluto, quite like Lilith, quite like Uranus, shakes things up, often in ways that appear to be negative, or be perceived negative initially. Chiron in Aries is about personal issues, personal trauma, personal insecurity, deficiencies, deformities, defects, bad karma, and whether or not these things make you or break you. So the challenge is transformation. I'm getting a call. Gotta deny this real quick. The challenge is transformation and making the best of the mess, right? The unfortunate situations in your life, and forging a new identity or personality that is no longer negatively affected by the trauma, but uses it as a tool or remedy for self and others, aka that person who has that personal testimony about overcoming something personal, and they could use it as a superpower to uplift themselves and others. So while Venus wants to enjoy the grand stage energy, we just talk about Venus, sharing the grand stage of Leo, enjoying the absolute best of what the world has to offer, what everyone has to offer, and also you being an active contributor to the overall cast of this overall Leo scene. However, does your whole identity, right, allow you access to this party that we're having? So again, this Chiron placement is quite tricky. Don't let your old wounds, all insecurities, and all identities stop you from, entering the party. Because on the 15th, 14th, nothing major. But on the 15th, the new moon in Gemini is here, which is the beginning of the lunation cycle. It's being kicked off or initiated in a mutable sign of Gemini. So off the bat, it's time for some upgrades, setting new intentions, our new feelings, for new emotions, how we could tackle or handle the world in a different way. Again, being more mutable, flexible, and adaptable. So the Gemini zodiac sign shows us, right, that this world is not black or white, but it's all the shades in between. There's always another perspective, there's always another idea, there's always another opinion, there's always another way to think, communicate, and process information, and share it and interact with the world. So the Gemini energy explores different means through curiosity, allowing for thorough analysis. This gives us the ability to solve problems in different ways and use knowledge of the knowledge from different experiences as a tool, right? To attain goals or results in a different fashion. So ultimately, this new moon is, or it gives us the ability to show up for ourselves and others sustainably, but also it allows us the ingenuity that, helps us to persist and have mottos like by any means necessary. However, not relying on the old means or old ways of getting emotional stability or comfort, and without being forceful or aggressive. And so there's a certain level of suavemente or ease of access if we're on the right side of energies, especially when we're going into this new moon, setting these powerful new intentions. And so as we conclude, We are today, it's June 6th. The astrological year started March 21st. And so, as we are in the final degrees of spring, there's some questions that we could ask ourselves. Are you satisfied with the way or in the ways that you show up for yourself, the way that you show up in the world? Or are you satisfied with how you show up for others? What feelings or emotions, what ideas or thoughts do you need to feed? What conversations, activities, trips, adventures, experiences are needed to open you up to neuroplasticity, um, and to fire new neurons in your brains? I can't believe I actually wrote this down, man. This is crazy. Um, we need that, right? As we move into the summer time, right? If you're not satisfied with the life you're living, you just hear Bob Marley coming and say, man, won't you satisfied with the life you're living? All right. This new moon or this week is offering us the ability, hopefully we could plant the right seeds, go through this new moon with the right intentions of just any means necessary, right? Without relying on those old means. And so we need to be tapping into something greater for new inspiration, for new motivation, because it's all about a new level of sustainability as we go forward into the summertime. All right, so I wrote down new moon magic. We're gonna do a video about some new moon magic. That's another video. Also, we want to be, well, not we, but why am I saying we? Okay, I know why I'm saying we. Anyway, Cancer readings, because we're going to be moving into the Cancer season shortly, and so we're going to be opening 4 slots for 4 free readings, only 4. And also we're gonna try to do a tower live tomorrow, so hopefully I could get this video uploaded, everyone could be up to date with what's happening, and then I could have some time to really structure and formulate myself when it comes to the new moon magic video, and the Cancer readings. All right, major farewell until we meet or greet again. Mercury is driving me crazy right now, but I feel happy because I'm trying to switch things up. I'm in a different environment, so I could get the video. I'm trying to get it done before the light goes down, before the memory fills up, and I feel like we were able to accomplish everything. So hope you guys found this video helpful, useful, or at the very least a little entertaining. You guys know I'm not really that charismatic, you know what I'm saying, but I'm working on it, trying to bring a bit more personality. Hopefully next time we could have some more examples, use pinpoint different individuals and situations as examples of these energies, so the videos could be a bit more, just a tad bit more relatable. However, again, we're just out here doing what we're doing, finding new ways of being versatile and adaptable and so forth. So let me know down in the comments down below what we could do to improve the content on this channel going forward, and we'll try to make those upgrades. All right, major farewell until we meet or greet again. I'm Kevis Major, doing it major.